Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever and whenever you are, and welcome to Take the Points.
A true underdog podcast.
Nice. I like how you kind of followed my inflection there.
I had
That's
to.
great. Yeah.
Yeah, you set a high bar.
Thanks, man.
For us all here at Take
I
the
try.
Points.
I try.
Yeah.
I know you always get a lot of crap thrown your way when you do the intro. So, but I thought you did a stellar job there on the echo.
Thank you. Yes, we'll wait till Robbie hears it and undoubtedly picks it apart, but that's fine.
Yeah, as you might have noticed, Robbie is not here with us today, and that's okay. We're gonna miss him, but we're gonna.
There are no rules. There are no rules today.
It's our off the rails episode today, so it's gonna be great. We got lots to talk about, actually, even though it's like kind of a time of the year where there's really not that much going on in sports. I feel like we've put together a docket of some fun things, which is not like us without Robbie to have
not like us
a list of things, but we do.
We did it.
And honestly, the first one on the list here is pretty sad, man. I've been bumming about this for the last couple hours.
Breaking news today.
I feel bad in my skin just thinking about this. But Frank Ragnow is retiring,
Hanging him up.
I don't know if I believe him. Like, he's 29 years old, and he's one of the best centers in football. Do you even is he like gonna quote unquote retire and then come back with a different team in like a year or two, or what is going on with this? I know he's got toe injuries, but what the heck?
No, he's injured for sure. He's been banged up for a long time. I think it's real, and I'll reference a friend of mine, an old high school friend that he played some NFL ball. I'll leave him nameless, just because I heard this comment from him secondhand. But it was essentially what I'd heard, that like when he was in the NFL, he was like, I don't remember the last time I didn't hurt. Like I hurt all the time. And so you think of a guy like these big, huge guys like Ragnow, especially when you have a lingering injury and you have to play at that high level, and look at the amount of guys that just don't last more than a couple years in this league. Probably a big part of it is because of that. So I think it's real. I think that Frank is just beat up, can't do it anymore. He probably could go out there and do it, but just not at the level in which he's used to.
It's interesting because, I mean, like even just last year, he was definitely a top center in the league.
Yeah.
And he was dealing with injuries throughout, and he'd come off of like toe injuries and
a torn pec.
And then he had a torn pec, but he had the turf toe in like 2021 and 2022, and said that was like the hardest part of his career. But I mean, he battled through that and then still had that phenomenal year that he had, despite the injury last year. And it just seems hard for me to imagine somebody, even if it's painful, sure, that's a part of football. Injuries are no joke. But, I mean, he was going to make, what, $15 million this year? And
14.
And probably for the next several years doing that. So for $40 million, don't you think he'd play at least like 3 more years, retire at 32? Or whatever. Like, it just seems shocking to me.
Yeah, it's almost like you're mad at him about it.
Dude, I am.
You're a little upset.
You can't be mad at somebody because it's his life, and he's gonna go do something else, whether it be with his family or he's got another aspiration for something else in his career. He's only 29 years old. I mean, you can only quote unquote retire so much when you're 29. You got a long life ahead of you, 60 years hopefully. Mm-hmm. So what are you gonna do? So he's going to have to figure something else out, and maybe he already knows, but it just seems like impossible.
He'll figure something out, and I think what you just mentioned is probably the driving force. There is he's young, and he's got hopefully 60 years of life left, right? And he's got a family, and he wants to make sure that he's around for that. I think a big thing of, again, just kind of reading the tea leaves here, people who are in that chronic pain, and maybe this is a little bit of we're going off the sports track and kind of into a life discussion here, right? But like, I've dealt with chronic pain from, I have psoriatic arthritis. I have psoriasis in my skin, and it gives me arthritis. I got it at a really young age. And when you wake up every day and you have that pain that like as soon as you get out of bed, it's the first thing you think of, and it's the last thing on your mind before you go to sleep. It's crippling. Like it can really run its toll on you mentally. So if that's the type of pain he's fighting through, and he just decided, you know what, I'm not going to fight through it again, by all means, dude, like go take care of yourself.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry to hear that you got that. I have been fortunate that I don't deal with that, so I can't imagine like what that would be like to think about pain that much. But and maybe this is a hot take, but I would say if you're gonna give me $14 million, I'll deal with that pain for a few years. It's just me. He's already made the money though.
But that's the thing. What if you already made your?
Then it's probably
he's got generational wealth no matter what. So
probably a different story then. But didn't I see recently though that he was like upset with his contract like just a few days ago?
Yeah, I did see that, and I didn't read into it because I was focusing on another topic that we'll do hopefully later on this episode. A Wilson special that I made for you.
Love it.
But I didn't read much into those headlines because I didn't want to spend too much time on it. And I do wonder if it was just him being absent at OTAs led to the assumption that he was unhappy with his contract. Because usually when guys don't show up, it's because they're trying to renegotiate their deal. So I wonder if he just wasn't there because he wasn't feeling up for it, and someone just alluded that was the issue, or I don't know if he actually said straight up like, hey, I want a new deal.
Yeah, I candidly don't know either, but just having seen that was out there, that he was unhappy with his contract, I think in the back of my mind, that's what's got me thinking this is not real. Like he's just gonna take a year off and be in retirement and then come back with another team. And I don't know. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt, but I'm not going to be shocked if that happens either.
Yeah, and I mean we've experienced Barry, we've experienced Calvin Johnson, these guys that just kind of said, you know what, I'm done here for different reasons, and it is hard. I get it, where it's hard to wrap your head around someone actually just saying, hey, it's been great, but I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. We have seen people do this before, but I guess the reason that it's just so fresh and so it's shocking to me, and I'm just thinking about like, what are the Lions gonna do? Like we are already in, and I don't know if we're gonna have differing opinions here, but I think that this is a huge change to the outlook for our team, in my opinion.
Yeah,
it was already trending that direction with a new OC. And with
new
DC, and then I'm just thinking about
the schedule.
Yeah, but
Zeitler Aiden coming back. I mean, we could tally up the things here, Wilson.
You really can, and he's got to be one of the most important. Talking about Frank, he's got to be one of the most important people on our offense, as the one who hands the ball off every play. So and then obviously he's just a stalwart center, blocking, like he's just thick and strong and everything you want him to be. And so like losing Zeitler and losing him, potentially having, and you can walk through the scenario, I guess, because you'll know better than me of what you think is going to happen. But in my mind, I'm like, man, we're going to have probably like a rookie coming in and playing a lot more. Just guys that aren't a top in the league center and less experience. And anytime you introduce that much change to something that we already know worked well in the past, and now it's a whole new thing, even if it's like, oh, this rookie's supposed to be great. It's there's no data yet to show that. So it's like, it's got me very skeptical.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's fair. And we just mentioned it. There's a lot of change this year with the Lions. A lot of things to scare your balls off, right?
Yeah.
And it's going to be interesting. I think Robbie nailed it a couple weeks ago. He said we're going to go from the hunted to the hunter again. I think it's going to all of these factors are going to write us off from a lot of people, and we'll have to fight. We'll probably have a worse record than, I would say, almost definitely have a worse record than 15-2 that we had last year, right?
No
We're
doubt.
not like, there's no way. So yeah, I mean, it's it definitely is shaping up to be an uphill battle. It does change, I think, a little bit of what I expect this, or it changes my threshold of what would surprise me this year. Like, let's just call it right now: a 9-8 miss the playoff season seems like it's on the table.
Yeah, and that would be,
and that would suck.
It would suck because it would be such a fall off. But then I think everybody would look at it and say, it's not that surprising given all the change. But what do you think we're gonna do? Are we gonna, like, just talking about the Ragnow situation real quick, and then we can move on from that? But my brain is still stuck here. What do you think we're gonna do? Are we gonna play our rookie that we just drafted in the second round?
No, it'll be Graham Glasgow. Will be center. He's taken. He played 1,000 snaps at center for us in 2018. He played snaps at center in Denver. He played snaps at center when Frank went down for some games last year. So he will be the immediate solution at center. Now, that doesn't mean that, the June 1st cut deadline was yesterday, right? So you might see some guys become available from cuts, but I don't think there's going to be anybody that's going to come in from another roster that was let go. That's going to be an upgrade over Graham Glasgow. So I think he's going to be the immediate center. Maybe you see some of these younger guys get reps. But yeah. We drafted Ratledge, Miles Frazier. We had 2 interior offensive linemen. We had Corby Swordsel on this roster. We had Christian Mahogany already on this roster. So there was 6 interior offensive linemen on this roster before Frank retired 4 hours ago. So there was, I actually thought about it not long ago. I said, what are we going to do here? I thought Glasgow was probably going to be a cut casualty, but now I think he obviously sticks around, plays center, and the young guys surround him, which could be ultimately a good thing. It's good to have some young, fresh legs in the interior offensive line, but obviously playing at the NFL is a different beast. So there's going to be a learning curve for all these guys too. So it'll be tough, but that's what I think we pieced together right away.
You actually just did make me feel a little better walking through.
Oh, good.
The different options there, and I want to try to be the voice of Robbie a little bit here and just say, but why didn't he announce this earlier?
Why didn't he announce it earlier? That's the voice of Robbie.
I didn't mean to do an actual impression, but why didn't he tell us this before?
That's a good Robbie.
Tell us before the draft. Maybe he did. Maybe they were wondering, or knew that it was a possibility, and that's why they did draft 2, interior offensive line.
Yeah.
But it's the timing seems interesting, which would lead to in his favor of being truthfully it's a lingering injury and pain that he just can't deal with. And he's at this point decided, and he didn't know that it would still be this way months ago. So that could be for sure.
Yeah. I think there's only so much rehab you can do for certain injuries that linger. And you get to a point, I think there was probably a date in mind for him where he said, okay, if I'm not at this point by June 1st, I might have to hang it up. And I'm sure he probably had some candid conversations with some of the coaching staff or the front office. As rightly you've seen, like I mentioned, we have a lot of interior offensive lineman depth. I don't think that's by chance. I think this was a possibility for the last couple years now with just how beat up Frank got every season. So yeah, I think he just made the call, and we were somewhat prepared for it, but obviously how prepared can you be to lose an all-pro center?
Right. Well, you're definitely more optimistic on it than I am in terms of just you're moving past it already. I can feel it. I like that.
Yeah, you have to. I think I don't know. I give a lot of credit to guys who just say, hey, you know what? This is all I got. I've given it all I got. And he played at such a high level for such a long time, man.
And we got a great staff that is going to know what to do. Like Fraley, he's going to know exactly what to do.
Yep.
And then this also does free up some cash for us that was going to.
Sure.
So we have some options, of where we
Yeah,
want to put that. What is it, $10 million or something?
I think so. I'm not entirely sure how it works when someone retires. Because if you were to cut Frank, you would have saved $9 million. But if he retires, does he like concede his entire contract and you get his whole 14 million back? I don't know. That's more of the
It's a good
nerds will have to
question.
tell you, right?
Yeah.
But
Ask AI.
yeah, ask AI for it and ask Bing.ai. If I think that, I mean, we can definitely reallocate that money, and we have 40 million in cap space anyway. So yeah, I would love to see them do something now
Yeah,
to
100%. You have
to
to.
go better, because I think that's where we've also been fortunate with how Brad operates. Is we're not sitting here with, okay, suddenly Frank retired and we don't own our next 2 first round picks or something like that. Like, we have control of our own destiny in the future. So I'd imagine next year, offensive line, center in the draft is probably a priority.
Yeah.
And making a trade this year for, I know that the hot name out there is Trey Hendrickson. Try not to give up a first round pick for him, and use that extra money towards extending
Yeah.
the man.
That would be huge. I mean, I think that even just for the sake of the mental space of the team and the fans and the city, they need to do something that's going to make us excited, because it's kind of mostly been like the opposite lately
Yeah.
of just like, I don't know, projecting to win less games, like projecting to not be as good of a team. Like the outlook,
Yeah.
people are saying our Super Bowl window has closed already. It's just as ridiculous.
That's you're channeling your inner Robbie right now.
Yeah, that's
I know he's gonna sit here and say, go back to that San Francisco game,
oh yeah, oh yeah,
and he's gonna say, was that our only shot to win it all? And it certainly could have been, right? We don't know, but we're gonna be damned if we don't put our best foot forward next season and try to get it all, right? We got a lot of good guys in this team.
yeah,
So
absolutely. And what you just said there leads perfectly into the next thing that I hope we could talk about, which is, do you feel more confident right now, because we have a lot of good guys on the team, on the Lions? Do you feel more confident still in them this upcoming season, or in the Tigers in this
ooh,
current season? Which, by the way, number one team in baseball right now, on pace for a 105 win season if they were to continue at their current pace.
yes, I mean, the jinx didn't last long.
Yeah.
Remember, he was texting us all weekend against
Yeah.
Memorial Day. He's like, jinx, we're so jinxed. It happened.
We lost
And
like 2 or 3 games after we talked.
we dropped 3 or 4 from Cleveland, who's another good team. And then you went off and you swept San Francisco, another good team. And you just took 2 or 3 from the Royals, another good team.
Mm-hmm.
Jackson Jobe has a little elbow thing. This is kind of concerning, but it's not like last year where you just had Scooble and no one else, right?
Yeah.
You have depth this year. So I think, God, that's a tough question, man. I don't know. If I had to choose, I'd still probably put more confidence in the Lions,
Wow.
because you just got to win one game in the playoffs. Like, when the playoffs come, you just got to beat the team in front of you one time. You got to go.
That's good. That's good. But I also would say in baseball, though, when you have to win a 7-game series, I mean, it could go the other way, too, where in football, it's like, oh, the Commanders could shock you, and they just have to win one game
Sure.
and they beat you.
Yeah.
I mean, it could go
certainly.
that way, too.
And I don't think we're going to be, again, I think maybe this is a little bias of an opinion, too, because I do think we're going to have that more hunter mentality where we're just going to be not the favorite. We're probably not going to get the number 1 seed. We're probably going to go on the road for some playoff games, and the odds will be stacked against us. And I think that's what that team kind of thrives, a situation that our team thrives in. And then with the Tigers too, they're all so young. There's 100 games left in the year. It could all change very quickly. So
It could, but look at how many games we've played. What, 60 games?
Yeah,
Like that's a
60.
pretty
That's a good
solid
sample. That's a
sample.
good sample. You're right.
And now we're coming into some series that I'm like, man, we should really win a couple of these series. Like
Yeah.
we're entering into a series with the White Sox right now.
Oh
4 games.
God,
Like
yeah.
we should win. And you could always drop a game, but we should win 3 or 4 of those games.
Yeah, that should be a 4. There should be
and
4 there.
and then there's a couple more coming up. I can't remember. Is it like Pittsburgh or somebody else that we're playing pretty soon?
Pittsburgh is ass.
Yeah, I think that
They suck so bad.
like
Booty.
they're a series. There's one series in between the White Sox and Pittsburgh, I think is the case. So it's like, man,
Yeah.
now you're talking about after those few series, we're like halfway through the season and potentially having this current win rate or better. It's like, man, are we gonna win 100 games? Like,
so are you more optimistic about the Tigers then? It sounds like that's where you're at.
I am,
which is fine.
Because, like, yeah, with 60 games and having seen us, like you mentioned, beat some really good teams, win series. I mean, we are just winning series after series. Throw out the Guardians series, and actually, I'm not scared of them because I don't even know if they're gonna make the playoffs. Like,
Yeah, I know they might not matter.
Yeah, they're
it might not matter.
I know they kind of have our number, but like they're outside the wild card right now. And just looking at the way our guys are playing across the board, but led by obviously Skubal and some of the ridiculous outings he's had, and then you look at like the hitting of Riley Green and Spencer Torkelson, both with 13 home runs right now.
Javi Baez, man, just coming up night after night.
And it's only going to get better with Meadows and Vierling as they ran.
Wenzel Perez is back. Like these guys come back and just they're plug and play. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe you've just convinced me to be more optimistic about the Tigers in this last few minutes here.
I mean, it's a tough call because it would have been a different answer from me, like just a few weeks ago, I think, or a month ago.
Yeah,
when the season was younger for the Tigers and when we still had Frank Ragnow on the Lions.
Yeah,
it would have been a different answer, but it's flipped.
Is this the most shocking thing for our locals? I mean, obviously, like Barry Sanders retired suddenly, and I was quite honestly a little too young to really feel that impact.
Yeah.
Is this one of the more shocking Detroit sports moments that for you?
You mean Frank?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it really is.
I think so too.
Well, I think the biggest reason that it is the most shocking is because we're still in this Super Bowl window in my head. It's like, dude, Frank. I mean, if you're dealing with that pain, there's nothing I can say about
that. You got a bone to pick.
But like, man, we
got a
are
bone to
right
pick with them.
there. Like, dude, we're coming off a 15-win season. We're right there.
Yeah.
Just like lock in with us for a couple years here.
Yeah.
And make your $28-30 million or whatever it is.
I know.
It's tough. It's tough.
It's easy for us having not made $30 million to say, oh, I would totally do that for $30 million.
But there's that part. There's the money part. But then right, I'm right back into this. I'm trying to move on, but I can't. The other part is, like, do you love the game of football? I know you love your family more, okay? And you should. But dude.
Do you love football or your family more? Pick one.
You don't have to pick one because you're 29 and, you know, most people are not able to retire in their 20s and spend the rest of their life with their family. Dude, you can. Do you love the game of football? Just period. If the answer is yes, play till you're 31, 32. Then retire and live your life for 50, 60 years with your family.
Yeah, let's get them up. Let's hit them up and you can ask them these hard-hitting questions.
I mean,
do you love your family or football more, Frank?
You can't. Well, obviously, he should love his family more. But my point is, he doesn't have to make that choice at 29 years old of like, oh, I got to retire to spend time with my family, unless he's got some serious or somebody in his family, which we don't know. Who knows what he's got going on in his life?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, somebody could have something going on that they don't have a lot of time left. Like I'm saying, like 50, 60 years. That might be the case. And if that's the case, throw everything I said out the window. That's more important. Go do that. But if on the information that we have, if it's that he has a toe problem and he tore his pec, has recovered, and he just doesn't want to deal with that again, then man, I can't understand that.
Well, I think it's more than just the toe and the pec. I think it's just the longevity of the human body, right? When you're 6'6", and his playing weight's probably close to 300 pounds, like most human beings don't walk around 6'6", 300 pounds, right? You have to continually, he's putting in a ton of work in the weight room. He's putting in a ton of work in agility and speed training, conditioning, right? And he's eating a absurd amount of calories to maintain that body weight.
But
he's got to maintain a certain amount of strength to move that body weight the way he does. That's taxing on your joints. That's taxing on your central nervous system. All of these things that, let's go back to a hot topic of mine, is I don't think we should ban any of these substances in sports, because if Frank had access to BPC 157, some peptides, some TRT treatments, right, he could still be playing right now. And I don't think he'd be at an advantage over anybody else. He'd just be on par with these guys that it hasn't hit them yet.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, I this is the first time you've made that argument that I'm like, I want to be on your side because I want Frank still on the team.
Yeah, you want to get on some juice? Let's go.
Get on some juice, Frank. But yeah, no, it's man, it's hard to talk about it. It's somebody else's life and their career and say what they should do. You really can't.
I mean, it's easy to talk about it.
But yeah, but for me, not having all of the information, because of course we don't have all the information.
Sure.
I just feel upset. I feel upset.
I know. It's a bummer. It really is.
But I wanted to say when you were like, oh, he has to do strength training and condition, and he's big. He's 280, 300 pounds. I'm like, boo-hoo, dude. You play football. You make $15 million to go play a game, and people love you and watch you and cheer for you. Like, okay, I'm so sorry you got to go do your strength and conditioning.
True, but I'm just saying that like, I guess my point there is it's more like that's all physically taxing and mentally taxing on you. And you look at these guys, a lot of these, like the big lineman players, when they go, like a great example, look at Jeff Saturday. Look at Jeff Saturday when he played versus when he's on, CBS pregame show or whatever the hell he's on, right? He looks like a different person. He looks like half the man he was when he played. And it's not that he's withered away. He's just at his normal size with a normal diet and a normal exercise routine. It takes a lot to be the size of these guys and move the way that they move. And I just think it would, I just think when you train that way, there's only so long that you can do it.
Well, Jeff Saturday played a lot longer. He played till
certainly did,
and he looks great now. So I don't know. Frank could have taken
Look
that
at
example.
What's the other Kelsey? The one that's not a Swiftie.
Jason.
Yes, thank you. He retired early too. He was. I mean, he wasn't quite in his 20s.
He was like 36, 37 or something.
No, he was that. Was he that old?
Yeah, dude. Jason Kelsey. Let's see. He is currently 37, so maybe he was 35.
Okay. Either way, I mean, 35.
Yeah, it's so early. And that's what I'm saying for Frank, and I promise I'll shut up about it after this, but that's what I'm saying for Frank, dude. Retire at 31 or 32, like after we're actually outside or potentially, outside of this window of opportunity to win it all.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
tough.
His life, but
yeah, I know. It's the Lions offseason hasn't been riddled with great news.
That's what I'm saying. We need to take that money and the rest of the cap that we had and make some moves that are going to give the team, the fans, the city something exciting. Like going into the season, like we just need to make some moves that are going to turn around the just like the air in the place.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think there needs to be something done. And who knows, man? Maybe it's one of those things where at the deadline, they're one of these few big trades. Because we all know the NFL trade deadline isn't really sexy like the NBA and the MLB one is. So I think once in a while, every couple of years, there's a big trade that goes down. Maybe the Lions do that. If
I'm down.
Maybe they're taking that wait and see approach. Say, okay, are we going to let's get through this first gauntlet of games, see where we're at. And okay, let's add to this team once we get through that.
I'd be all about that. And speaking of moves, and you mentioned NBA trade deadline. I know you got a topic, and I know you've prepared some things today. You said it was especially for me, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, I know. As our resident NBA, I think we're all basketball guys, but I think we all look to you as.
I don't know why. I don't know why. I didn't even know. I
you...
didn't even remember that the Phoenix Suns were in the NBA Finals.
Oh yeah, shit! I forgot about that. Maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we shouldn't do this.
To be fair, though, that was like in the middle of COVID, and I still don't remember.
That was a long time ago
of that 2021 Finals. But yes, okay. I have tried to self-proclaim myself to be the NBA expert, so I'll stick with that.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. Let me do. I got a little graphic for you here. We're gonna do. How do I do this? Let's see a screen.
Are you trying to share a?
Oh
a
yeah,
slide?
we're gonna.
Oh my
look
God!
At
You
this.
put together a deck.
I did. I got to take the points deck for you.
Wow. Well, for anybody who's just listening, Steve has put together a very aesthetically pleasing slide with a microphone, our logo, and it says 5 off-season moves that could shock the NBA.
Yes. So This is my own proprietary, I don't want to call them predictions, but maybe some possibilities that if these things happen, I think, or if a certain number of these happen, certainly don't all of these have to happen, but I think these are things that can happen that could change the landscape of the NBA into next season.
This is amazing. Steve, I got to stop you right now.
Great.
First of all, I love that you put together a deck for this and that you prepped this. This is incredible. So just know that you're making my day. But then secondly, I want to say just how funny this is that the NBA Finals are about to start on Thursday. It's not even the offseason.
I know.
And it's such a non exciting, just like not what people wanted finals that we're talking about the offseason moves instead of talking about the finals. I completely agree with that because it's just not it's going to be OKC in 4 or 5.
It doesn't have juice.
It's got no juice.
It doesn't have the juice. And that's honestly when I put this idea together. It was Saturday. I think, was it Saturday when the Pacers beat the Knicks?
Yes.
And I was texting you guys. I'm like, I can't believe the fucking Pacers are going to the finals.
It's just
and then
so
I was
sad.
like, how, and we talked about like, this is not exciting. It's sad.
At least if the Knicks had gone, it would have been like, oh, New York is never there. Like,
yes,
they're a big, huge market.
Well,
never
yes,
there.
Huge market, never there. Indy's never there either. But
but nobody cares. I mean,
nobody
people in Indiana care, and that's it.
And Halliburton is probably one of the more hateable players in the NBA
because of his dad.
Well, just his whole. He just looks like a 13-year-old punk. Like he just looks like a kid. That you just want to smack. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do know what you mean, and I love that you said it. But also, I did feel bad for him at the end of the Eastern Conference Finals when he thought he was winning that MVP, and he took a step towards it.
Yeah.
When they were like, "And the Eastern Conference Finals MVP is," and he's like literally taking a step towards it, and it was Pascal Siakam.
Yeah, again, all the more reason to hate him. Honestly, I think he just got that type of mentality.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I put this together. I was like, how could we? And again, so for the listeners, check us out on YouTube. I'm going to start putting a little more pizzazz on our YouTube content. This will all be there. You'll see the hence the deck, right? So you can we'll have some visual. But these are 5 off-season moves that could shock the NBA. So Wilson, I want your reactions and give me a likelihood of you thinking or of what of how likely you are to think.
Can I ask a question?
Please.
Beforehand, to know.
Yes.
Have you gone in and taken a look at the team's salary caps ahead of time to know if these moves are possible? I mean, anything is technically possible, but
bro, come on.
Okay.
I mean, come on.
Just making sure. I know
I'm a salary cap savant. I love making moves work underneath the salary cap. You think I didn't fucking look at the goddamn salary? Of course.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Now, some of these, I will give you a little, some of these take a little more context. Some of these are a little more ambiguous, and some of these are very specific. So we're just going to jump right into the content. So the first move that could happen this offseason that I think will shock and drastically change the landscape of the NBA is Giannis gets traded to the San Antonio Spurs.
Ooh, do you want to give any more context? Or do you want me to react?
Give me your gut reaction.
So I would personally not be shocked because of two reasons. Number one, I think there's something about the NBA right now where they are pushing for San Antonio to be
Oh
great
yeah,
again.
the conspiracy theory.
This is, and I think partially it was due to before Pop has had
Yes.
all of his health issues and feel bad for him, and they wanted to give him another one, and but now with him not being able to be the head coach anymore, like I still think because Wemby's there and he's the next face of the NBA, they want him to have some success. They want San Antonio. It's in the absolute best interest of the NBA
100%.
for the Spurs to be great with Wemby. We all know how rigged that draft lottery was for Dallas after they had, obviously traded Luka basically for the number one pick and Anthony Davis. We know that was rigged.
Yeah.
And we know it was rigged for the Spurs to get Wemby in the first place. I don't care what bogus video the NBA puts out trying to prove that the lottery was real.
Yeah, no way.
I'm not buying it. So I think that the cards are stacked in the Spurs' favor right now for them to get another great player, whether that be with above board moves that happen or if there's the NBA's juicing a little bit of it behind the scenes. But Giannis would be the perfect teammate for Wemby.
Wouldn't he?
It would be incredible. I mean,
yeah.
Giannis to be able to take it to the basket and then have the option to just lob it up to Wemby or dump it off or just dunk on everybody.
Kick it out to him on the three. Yeah. Like the possibilities are endless. So I will add to your juice here. This is very feasible within the salary cap. I think a trade surrounding Devin Vassell, Harrison Barnes, and some draft compensation for Giannis will work, right?
Don't they have to give more than that?
No.
Well, I mean, okay, let's say they give the number, because they have the number 2 pick this year.
They have to give the number 2 pick. So this is why I think San Antonio, of all the teams that are in, I mean, every team wants Giannis, right? But when you look at the situation where Giannis or the Bucks still owe first round picks to the Blazers and the Pelicans for Dame and Drew Holiday, respectively. So they don't control their own first round picks. So they could, if Giannis goes down for 30 games with a sprained ankle or something like that, Dame's out all next year, they could completely tank. They could get a top 3 pick and then hand it to the New Orleans Pelicans. So if they're going to move Giannis, it has to be something that has an immediate return. And the number 2 pick from San Antonio, go and get Dylan Harper, right? Jumpstart your rebuild. Take the number 14th pick from this year with you too, and then get the 27, 30, get a whole bunch of draft picks from San Antonio. They have plenty to spare. Get Devin Vassell and get the expiring contract of Harrison Barnes and jumpstart your rebuild. If I'm in charge of Milwaukee, I'm probably just going to do this whether or not Giannis wants it, because I think the window has just closed.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, Milwaukee's definitely been in the last couple of years in downturn. They did get their championship with Giannis in 2021. Yep. So it's not like they're trying to be like, okay, we can still get this one. We've got the player.
They've tried. Happened. They can't do it.
Yeah,
it's just they're not getting across the finish line again, in my opinion.
Even with Dame and now his injury, I mean, like it's just not going to happen. In the NBA of old, you win a championship with a player like Giannis, he's probably going to be on that team until the end of his career or until those last few years when he hops around. Mm-hmm. But like in the NBA of old, this would not be a consideration, or it would be really shocking.
Yes.
In like the 20 years ago and earlier NBA.
Yep.
But today, not shocking, and I think he's going to go somewhere, and San Antonio would really be like the perfect spot for him to go.
And that's a really good setup to number 2, right? So the NBA of old, there was a time frame, I think, from like 1980 something to 2005, where only 5 teams won championships. It was the Lakers, the Celtics, the Rockets, the Bulls, the Spurs, and the Pistons. 6 teams won championships in that like 20-year span. And now the last 7 years of the NBA, including this season, we will have 7 different champions. There's been no repeat champion.
It's
and
wild.
Wilson, I right. And I think you know who we like in the finals this year. But item number 2 is the Thunder. After they win the championship, they go and get Kevin Durant back.
Oh, man. So, okay, I have a couple things to say about this. Number one is, I think it's a mistake of the NBA of today where teams are giving up on players that are, majorly contributing to their championships and saying, oh, we're going to have to do a rebuild. I think they're doing it too early, in my opinion, because you look at the Spurs are a great example. I think they won the championship in 2007, and then they didn't win it again until, what was it, 2014?
Yeah.
That's a long stretch. And guess who was still there when they won it in 2014?
Tim Duncan.
Tony
Parker. Manu Ginobili.
Those are the guys.
Was he still there?
I think Manu might have still been there. Even if he wasn't.
I think he was.
The two main guys, Tony Parker and Tim Duncan, were still there. And that's a 7-year gap, right? A 6-year gap in between where they didn't win. It's like, okay, yeah, those guys still had the juice, like Giannis still will, like Kevin Durant still does.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think but it's also the players that are not willing to stay. And that's the case with Kevin Durant, and he's already shown that. He doesn't want to stay somewhere for his career. And you got to respect that too. And so, thinking about would he want to go to the Thunder? I don't know. Because I think he wouldn't be received with open arms.
See, that's one of my favorite things about this is that I think the fans would welcome him back.
You think so? Because I think they burned those jerseys from when he left. However, Cleveland also did that to LeBron when he went to Miami, and they loved him when he came back.
Exactly.
So I think it would be one of those things where it's like huge story, also great for the NBA.
Yep. They'll cut the Diddy lyrics out of that song and just do the chorus. I'm coming home, right?
Yes.
He'll do another Players Tribune article where I'm going to join the team that won the championship.
Dude.
Right? He'll do it again.
Oh,
and the Thunder, of all the teams that could get Kevin Durant, the Thunder could afford it the most and really not have a problem if it doesn't work out. They have 10 first-round picks in the next 5 years. They have Hartenstein, Caruso, Dort, Wiggins, Isaiah Joe. I think just those 5 guys make up over $100 million in salary, so they can match any deal to get back to Phoenix. Might need to get a third team involved here, but KD's only got a year left and then a player option, so he won't be terribly expensive. And I think you could really, going back to what we talked about with the parity in the league, where 7 different champions in the last 7 years, Oklahoma City, if KD comes back, buys in, and makes that team even better, now you're talking about this is a team that can be the next dynasty. And isn't that the goal of every rebuild, is to have the dynasty? Oklahoma City can do it. They got Shai locked up. They can extend Jalen Williams and Chet and then have KD and run it for the next 3 years.
I mean, 100%. There's so many things that just ran through my mind as you were talking. I'm going to try to think through all of them. Number one is this is great for the Thunder. Like, this would be an amazing move for the Thunder. I think there would be a lot of skeptics saying, well, look at Kevin Durant couldn't win in Phoenix, and he didn't do anything in Brooklyn, and he couldn't win when he was here in OKC before, so why would we want him? Well, look what happened when you added him to the Warriors. You could say, oh, they didn't need him. They'd already won before him. But they became unstoppable when they got him. There was no question that they were going to win those back-to-back championships when they got him. So you could see you add him to an already great team, becomes unstoppable.
Yep.
The other thing is, though, I mean, it's great for the NBA, but you got to think about who's it really not that great for. You could make
everybody
a case
else
that all the other teams, but you could make the case that it's not great for Kevin Durant personally if you're looking at his legacy, because currently he has a legacy of, like I just said, not being able to win unless he's on the team that already was going to win it anyways or was already there. And so if I'm Kevin Durant, and maybe he doesn't care about that, I don't know.
I don't think he cares. And he's getting too old to salvage it.
True. But if I'm Kevin Durant, I think to myself, the only time I've ever won it is with a team that had already won it and they just added me, this would be doing that again. Like you got to consider that if you're him.
Yeah.
At least think about it because his legacy will forever be he only wins when he goes to the team that's already winning.
Yep. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, this is all definitely a big what if, but I just don't think he cares about it that much because his options are what? Get traded to Houston and not win it, not win another
True.
championship.
It's true.
Like if he wants a title, that this is what the path he has to take. So I'm going to move on here in the interest of time because we're getting a little late in the pod. My third shocker of the offseason is a surprise superstar gets traded, similar to the Luka trade. I'm thinking of someone that we didn't know was available, just kind of gets moved spontaneously. So some of the names I have here is Joel Embiid, Trae Young, Devin Booker, Kawhi Leonard, Ja Morant's on this list too. Guys that you didn't think were on the trade block, but the teams that they're on don't really have a set direction. And so a surprise superstar gets traded.
This is an interesting one, and there's maybe like two of these that I could see being. I don't think Ja Morant goes anywhere. He's too good and of a player, and he's also too like questionable at the same time in terms of his antics, and
Mm-hmm.
he's just now starting to prove himself again. And so I don't know that another team takes a risk on him and Memphis gets back enough for him for that. Devin Booker, I think, is also, it would be crazy for the Suns to just
I agree.
like, you can't move on from that guy at this stage. It's like, unless he really wants to go. But I could see Trae Young and I could see Joel Embiid being moves that it's just like for the Hawks, dude, he's just hasn't worked. He's been there.
Yep.
He's great, but
friction with the team too.
Yeah.
Same in Philly. Like,
yep.
just like
100%.
that, being tired of not being a championship contender.
Yeah.
Just send me to one.
Two great players that could add huge value to teams that are right there, but probably aren't going to do it on their current teams. So I could see that both of those happening.
Awesome. Yeah,
good,
I love it.
It's good.
All right. The fourth big move that could happen this offseason is I'm looking at two teams that have a core four, and Denver and New York Knicks have four max type players on their starting roster. And I think one of them break it up. And I think we've already heard, coming off the heels of Saturday night and their loss to the Pacers, there's been some frustrations with Karl Anthony Towns and his defense. Thibodeau might be on his way out. And then Denver, I mean, aside from Jokic going anywhere because he's kind of untouchable, I think that their window is also closing. And if they want to win another one with Jokic there, they might have to move on from like a Michael Porter Jr. or even Jamal Murray.
So your four in Denver would be Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr., Jamal Murray, and Jokic, right?
Yeah, Jokic obviously isn't going anywhere. He's just part of that core four will be broken up.
I'd be shocked if Jamal Murray goes somewhere because
really?
Yeah, him and Jokic play so well together, and Jokic has to be really. If I was Jokic, I'd be very protective of him. He's somebody that there's not a lot of players I think that are gonna make even like a player like Jokic better. And Jamal Murray is one of those guys who is so versatile.
Okay, interesting.
Makes the right basketball play all the time, which I know Jokic he's got to have a lot of respect for that because that's what he tries to do. But Aaron Gordon or Michael Porter Jr., I don't know why you would, because those guys are so good. Like Aaron Gordon defensively, and then he can also score in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
And Michael Porter, the way he can shoot the ball like so consistently and is also very tall. Like he's a tough guy to guard on the perimeter. I don't know that they find a replacement for him that makes them better.
Yeah,
I'd be pretty surprised about that one. And also I would be about the Knicks as well, just because of the success that they've just had in this postseason and it really being their first time being there. I think they got to run it back. Try to add without detracting. So I'd be surprised.
I think that's my only reason I put these two teams up here is that both of these teams, I think, were kind of exposed in the playoffs for their lack of depth. And they're strapped financially. It's hard to add depth pieces when you have 4 guys on your team making $200 million a year almost. So that's where I think that it might behoove one of them to move a starter like Michael Porter Jr. I think from Denver is probably the odd man out. He's a $40 million a year 4th option.
Is he making that much? I didn't realize
Yeah,
that.
he's $40 million a year. So I think they can move him and get 2 role players back, right? 2 guys that can swap in. I think the Pistons are a good match for MPJ too. I think they can. That would be a place where he could come and thrive as a number 2 scoring option.
As long as we're not taking on, I don't know what his contract is. As long as we're not taking on like a 4 or 5 year.
It's deal. 2 years left. Yeah,
I would
2 years and $80 million. Yeah, right.
I would take
and it
that.
Probably wouldn't cost much to do it. So, and Jokic. I mean, the Jamal Murray thing is interesting. I've heard some chatter already that Murray might be on the block. I just don't know if Jokic cares enough. I feel like he's already off riding his horses in Serbia. Like I think he flies into Denver the day before camp and just shows up and balls.
But the thing is, though, he seems like on the court, you can tell that guy wants to win. Like he's arguing,
sure.
He's complaining to the officials, which means he's competitive. He wants to win. His heart is in it. He's playing hard.
But locker cleanout day, he goes right on his jet back to Serbia and starts brushing his horses out and doing what he does out there, right? And then no contact from the team. And I also wouldn't be surprised if Jokic is one of these guys like takes a Frank Ragnow path and hangs him up in 4 years.
Well, now that would make more sense to me than Frank Ragnow. Not to get back on Frank Ragnow.
Yeah, I know.
But Jokic has already won a championship. He's already won multiple MVPs. Like what more can you ask?
Exactly.
Than to go to a pretty small market, be the best player that's ever played there. Sorry, Carmelo Anthony, you're great, but you're not Jokic, and the best player ever played there, win them a championship and win multiple MVPs. Like, yeah, sure, hang it up in your early 30s and walk away with your hundreds of millions of dollars. That's great.
Yeah. So I just think with that being a realistic possibility does Denver play that card and just say, okay, we need to get more good players around him and not have less great players, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
right?
dude,
like let's replace a Michael Porter Jr. with 2 really good role players.
You kind of sold me there. The other thing that I just thought of that I'll mention quickly that I think would be very diabolical, but I wonder if anybody would ever do something like this. Jokic could potentially tell Denver without telling anybody else, hey, I'm going to retire in 2 years. And like just giving you guys a heads up.
And they trade him.
They trade him and they get like 6 first-round picks.
Oh God.
Dude, what is stopping them from doing that?
There'd be like some legal ramifications.
There's gotta be. There's gotta be. Yeah.
Okay, and the last point is we had to throw our own home team into the mix here because I believe a new Eastern Conference contender emerges. This is a little bit in line with what's going on in sports radio, but I think our own take here is the Pacers in the finals. They're not some complete powerhouse team. The Knicks had their flaws. We hung in with the Knicks, and they made it to the conference finals. Jason Tatum's out for all of next year. Boston's going to look drastically different, trying to get under the second apron financially. Orlando and Detroit are really the only 2 teams in the East that are on the upswing still. And I think a move for either of those teams, or even both of those teams, could catapult them to a legitimate Eastern Conference contender.
Man, so I think this is great. And I'm loving that my immediate gut reaction in my heart of hearts is that the Pistons I could see this for, but not the Magic. I'm so glad that it's not the other way around. And I think before this season, it would have obviously been for sure the other way around.
Yeah.
But I don't know that I could see the Magic taking that big of a step because, I mean, they've already got a Banchero and Wagner, and they were nowhere close to contending in the East. Like they were a good team. They won some games, but in my opinion, I actually was more up on them last year. I thought they were more on the rise, and this year they felt like they kind of stagnated a bit to me. I don't know what their record was year over year, but to me, the Pistons just feel like they have so much more momentum and promise. And like you said, the way we hung in against the Knicks, who, you know, I think should probably be the team in the finals right now. It gives me really good vibes for next year. And like you said, we're one move away, truly.
Yeah, I think so too. And the only thing with Orlando, I mean, Banchero's a beast. They got Franz Wagner, and they just do have some dogs on that team, and I think they have a lot of draft capital too. Just like the Pistons, they have a lot of picks that they can move. Not Oklahoma City level picks, but they have all of their own first round picks which they can move, and assets which they can make a deal work for a star player. So I wouldn't be surprised if either one of those teams makes a big move. But I think Detroit has the better coach. I think Detroit has the better overall player in Cade, and the better financial situation to make it work, and the better complementary pieces as a whole to take a bigger leap forward. But I wouldn't be surprised if both the Pistons and the Magic end up being a top 4 team in the East next year.
Wow. Well, yeah. I mean, when you think about Boston likely not being there without Tatum, I mean, they could still be. They still have a great roster even without Tatum, which is wild.
Sure.
But yeah, you're probably right. That means we would have to overtake Cleveland, New York, and Indiana. Not all 3 of them could not be in the top 4 in that situation if both Detroit. I mean,
2 of them could be.
2 of them could be, but one of them would not be.
Yeah, right.
And Boston would be out. But that would be, I would love it. I could see that happening if Orlando were to be also combined with your number 3 thing here with the surprise superstar getting traded. I don't know how this would work out.
These aren't mutually exclusive.
Right.
So
if the finances and the players would work out for them to get like an Embiid or a Trae Young somehow, man, then they're right there.
Yeah.
They're probably a top contender at that point. So
yeah.
These were great, man. Great
awesome,
job,
dude. I love it. I had a lot of fun doing this, and I'm glad you enjoyed it and had some good basketball convo. So yeah, if you want to watch us talk through this on YouTube, see these awesome visuals that we've put together, check us out. We're going to start pizzazzing that channel up a little bit, and we love just talking. I don't know about you. I love talking hypothetical NBA moves.
So do I. It's basically all I'm going to think about outside of the Tigers.
Right.
Until the NBA season restarts after the Thunder win the championship.
Yeah. Outside of like work, passive income, and my family's well-being, it's like NBA hypotheticals.
That's incredible.
No.
Oh, well, this was awesome, man. Thanks again. And I'm going to go DM Frank Ragnow on Instagram and ask him what the heck's going on.
Yeah, get some intel for us.
Right.
We could use that. Oh my God, my screen is so blurry. I hate that.
It is. You still look great though, even through the blur.
Thanks. Yeah, you're beer goggling me right now. There we go.
You don't need the beer goggles, man. That's for sure.
That's the nicest thing anyone said to me.
Oh, well, thank you all for listening to another 58 minutes of Take the Points. We hope that you can leave us a comment. I said that last time, and nobody did. Leave us a comment, give us a follow, share the show. We appreciate it very much. And we'll see you back here very soon on Take the Points,
a true underdog podcast.